He stood in line quietly, hands folded around a worn leather wallet that had seen better decades. The bank lobby buzzed with soft conversations, the hum of machines, and the polished confidence of people who never worried about overdrafts. His clothes were clean but old-fashioned, his shoes repaired more than once. No one paid him much attention, which suited him just fine. When it was his turn, he stepped up to the counter and offered a small, polite smile to the teller. "I just want to check my balance," he said calmly. The words barely left his mouth before a sharp laugh cut through the air. It came from the man at the neighboring counter, a millionaire by the look of him, perfect suit, gold watch. The kind of confidence that came from knowing money would never be a problem. He had been speaking loudly on his phone about investments, about numbers that made people nearby uncomfortable. When he heard the quiet request, he turned, amused. "Check your balance," the millionaire said, not bothering to lower his voice. "Why? Afraid you might have $10 too many?" A few people chuckled nervously. Others looked away, embarrassed on his behalf. The old man didn't react. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply waited. The teller glanced at the millionaire, then back at the old man. She typed in the account number, expecting the usual result. Maybe a few $100s, maybe less. She had seen this scene before. What she had not seen before was what appeared on her screen. Her fingers froze. She blinked. Then she refreshed the page, convinced it was a system error. The number didn't change. Her face drained of color. The millionaire noticed the silence and smirked. "Problem?" he asked, leaning back casually. "Did the system crash trying to find his account?" The teller swallowed. "Sir," she said softly to the old man, "could you please wait a moment?" She signaled her supervisor. The room shifted. Conversations slowed. Something about the teller's tone cut through the background noise. The millionaire frowned, irritation replacing amusement. "What's going on?" he asked. "Some people have real business to do." The supervisor arrived, glanced at the screen, and stiffened. "I'll take it from here," she said quietly. The old man nodded and waited, resting his hands on the counter, as if this were no different from ordering a cup of tea. The supervisor looked up at him with a mix of disbelief and respect. "Sir," she said, "your current balance is correct. Would you like a printed statement?" "Yes," he replied, "that would be fine." The printer hummed. The millionaire leaned closer, curiosity now overpowering arrogance. "So," he said, "what is it? 1,000? 5? The supervisor hesitated. She wasn't supposed to disclose information, but the number was already there, glowing on the screen, like a quiet challenge to everything the man believed about wealth. She turned the screen slightly as she removed the paper. The millionaire saw it. The number had more zeros than he could count at a glance. Not millions, not tens of millions, hundreds of millions, possibly more. The lobby went silent. That can't be right," the millionaire said, his voice suddenly tight. "There's no way." The old man took the printed statement, folded it carefully, and placed it back in his wallet. "It's right," he said gently. "I just don't look like what you expected." The millionaire stared at him, searching for the trick, the hidden camera, the explanation that would restore order to his world. "Who are you?" he asked. The old man smiled, not proudly, not smugly, but with the calm of someone who had answered that question many times and learned it rarely mattered. "I'm someone who learned early that money speaks loudest when it's quiet," he said. The supervisor cleared her throat. "Sir," she said to the old man, "if you need anything at all, private banking, security, anything, please let us know." "Thank you," he replied. Today this was enough. He turned to leave. The millionaire stepped aside automatically, his body moving before his mind caught up. As the old man passed, he paused. "You laughed," the old man said softly, not unkindly. "I don't blame you. I used to laugh too." The millionaire looked at him, shaken. "At what?" "At people who didn't look successful," the old man said, "until I learned how expensive that mistake can be." He walked out. The doors closed behind him, and the lobby slowly returned to motion. But nothing felt the same. What no one there knew was that the old man had once stood exactly where the millionaire stood, loud, admired, convinced that money was proof of worth. Decades earlier, he had built a company from nothing, watching it grow into something that changed industries. He sold it quietly, walked away from the spotlight, and learned what it meant to live without applause. He invested patiently, anonymously, letting time do what noise never could. He dressed simply because it freed him. He stood in lines because it reminded him. He never announced his success because he no longer needed anyone to clap. That night, the millionaire sat alone in his penthouse, staring at his reflection in the glass. For the first time, his wealth felt loud in the wrong way. For the first time, he wondered how many people he had laughed at, how many screens he had never seen. And somewhere across the city, an old man placed his wallet on a small wooden table, poured himself a cup of tea, and smiled. Not because he had shocked anyone, but because he had once again proven to himself that true balance had very little to do with numbers on a screen.